Hey everyone, I want to make a quick video that goes over the importance of iteration in technologies and how in many cases the iteration of the technology outcompetes or outpaces the original innovation which led to the iteration. The title below, Silicon Valley Isn't Innovative, It's Iterative, 4 Proof Points, is the title of a Forbes article back from 2014. The same can be seen in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space. Bitcoin was the innovation, a new technological idea which was revolutionary. Since Bitcoin, there have been numerous others which have followed. Sure, some have different purposes, but all are iterations of the technology and are trying to improve on the original. Iteration is defined as a repetition of a mathematical or computational procedure applied to the result of a previous application, typically as a means of obtaining successful close approximation to the solution of the problem. It is also defined as a new version of a piece of computer hardware or software. My own input I would also put is that in most cases it is an improved piece of hardware or software. Now, I'm not a tech history buff or anything, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But I cannot think of any tech that was perfect in the first rendition, and one that did not require future renditions. Take a look at gaming consoles. Originally, you had the Magnavox Odyssey. I've never even heard of that one. Then you had Atari, which I have heard of but never played. Then later you have Nintendo, which I can remember playing. Then Super Nintendo, later PlayStation and PlayStation 2. Then eventually you got to Wii and Xbox. Now I'm sure there were a plethora of other devices in between all these, like Sega and Dreamcast, but I wanted to show as an example of the iterations within the industry. Let's go back to the Forbes article and see what examples they have laid out. One example from Forbes is the social networking game Farmville. According to the article, quote, a more recent example of iteration triumphing over innovation is Zynga gaming hit Farmville. The concept of Farmville is based on a Japanese farming simulation game called Harvest Moon, first released for Super Nintendo in 1996. Later, in 2008, the social network-based farm game Happy Farm was released by developer 5 Minutes on the Tencent Cube platform. Borrowing heavily from these previous iterations, Zynga released Farmville in 2009. As noted by Mark Skaggs, VP of Product Development for Zynga, the team's original idea was to make a real-time strategy game for Facebook. The article then goes on to describe how they relied heavily on the original infrastructure of the previous games. So as you can see, Harvest Room and Happy Farm were the innovations that inspired the eventual iteration, which caught fire, Farmville. Forbes also cites Airbnb as an iteration. Quote, the company Airbnb was not the first online short-term housing rental service. Among others, VRBO launched in 1996, which HomeAway acquired in 2006. Couchsurfing.org launched in 1999, and Craigslist had a long history of matching apartment renters with subleasers. However, Airbnb was successful, not because of the tweaked idea, a network of bed and breakfasts, but rather because of a series of small iterations from a well-designed interface to a low barrier of entry that opened up a new passive marketplace to a system of accountability that forced rapid responses to solve the asymmetry problem that continues to plague sites such as Craigslist. End quote. The article continues discussing the changes that made an Airbnb a successful iteration. So you can see, sites like HomeAway, Couchsurfing.org, and Craigslist were the innovations that inspired the iteration Airbnb. So, will XRP be the next Airbnb or Xbox? Unfortunately, you can't really know till it happens. For now, we can only look at the evidence. We know XRP is an iteration of crypto and Bitcoin. I've heard people that worked on XRP cite the reason for XRP is that they saw the problems with Bitcoin. This includes speed, scalability, and energy use. XRP is in fact faster, cheaper, and uses negligible energy. It is also a different use case than Bitcoin. Bitcoin looks to a free society from banks, while XRP takes a standpoint of working with the banks and transforming the system from within. Also, XRP is seen as a value transfer tool, while Bitcoin is seen as a store of value. Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, told CNBC in an interview, quote, "I think Bitcoin is not going to be the panacea that people once thought it would be, where it would solve all these different kind of problems. Instead, you're seeing specialization of different kinds of ledgers and different kinds of blockchain." End quote. In that last part, different ledgers and blockchains, you could just substitute different iterations. Other positive evidence to look at is adoption. We know XRP is being adopted by banks and remittance companies. Now, we should also note that whenever an ETF is mentioned, it is always centered around Bitcoin and Ethereum. Perhaps this goes back to use case, but Bitcoin is also certainly being looked at to be adopted. The final answer, and the true answer, is to perform individual research yourself. Find a project you're confident in and a team that executes. If you find multiple projects, maybe diversify if you want. Again, this video is for entertainment purposes only. I will leave you with this last slide and let you determine for yourself. Is XRP the next big iteration of Bitcoin? Will it rise to prominence as some historical iterations have? If you enjoyed, please share, like, and please subscribe. This is Level Crypto signing out. See you in the funny papers.